place to hide, no place to run, no place to run. The mutant age has now begun. X-Men, X-Men, this is the day, this is the day. X-Men, X-Men, coming your way. Magneto's hordes are on the way to pillage, burn, and plunder. But there's one team that will not yield, the team that strikes like thunder. X-Men, X-Men, this is the day, this is the day. X-Men, X-Men, coming your way.
Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Thursday. Well, we got a little bit of free time on our hands, so I thought it'd be fun to do a video discussing one of my favorite things ever, and that is the Pryde of the X-Men Marvel VHS tape pilot of the X-Men. This is the first dedicated X-Men cartoon. This was distinct from the X-Men animated series that became famous on Fox and Saturday mornings. Today we're going to, and then also do some lost media exploration and detective work about Pryde of the X-Men. So basically what I found out is that there would be this commercial, and I knew it was from this X-Men cartoon, and it used to like mesmerize me. It would like go like X-Men, X-Men, and it would have like all these clips of the cartoon. I'm like, that's the 80s X-Men cartoon. Like, and it looked so cool. It had like Wolverine like jumping toward the screen, and it had this like ending shot of the X-Men like standing on the side of the earth. And I thought like, oh my God, this is like the coolest thing ever. And it just, anytime that commercial would come on, I would like either run in the room or get like super excited, and then it stopped being broadcast. And I just had it in my mind like, oh man, that's like the best commercial ever. Like what the, like I love that commercial. And then, you know, years and years and years later, when I was in college, there was a store called Area 51, and I was browsing around and I found this tape, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this is the tape. And so I got it, I took it home, I popped it in the VHS tape, and I immediately knew that this was what was used in the commercial from like the opening credits and the closing scene of the X-Men on the side of the earth and things like that. In this video, we're going to do a little lost media detective work. Okay, so let's start talking about my quest for the lost Pryde of the X-Men commercial from my youth. The commercial that made me fall in love with this anime. Do a little bit of a lost media section to this video, right? So as I said in the intro, I remember there being this commercial that featured the Pryde of the X-Men. And I didn't even know it was Pryde of the X-Men. I just remember these were clips from a cartoon I remembered from my youth that was X-Men. And this commercial played the theme song, the X-Men, X-Men. And it had all these like awesome looking clips of the 80s X-Men. And I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And nobody around me knew what I was talking about. So I reached out to some of my friends on Facebook. I know this local comic book author. So I reached out to him and I said, man, as you can see on the screen here, do you remember this commercial played during Star Trek The Next Generation on WSYT, Fox 68? And he's like, I think it's from Twilight Book and Game. And then he kind of second-guessed himself. But he was really into Pryde of the X-Men, and he sent me, and I have the Marvel Age magazine. He starts talking to me about some facts here. So let's, because I told him I was doing a video about Pryde of the X-Men. I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that he told me that he knew here. Some facts in case you don't have it in your research. This was the last superhero show by Marvel Productions, which had formerly been DePatie Freelong Studios, under which they'd made Pink Panther and Dr. Seuss specials. Marvel Productions began in 1978 with Fantastic Four, had Spider-Man and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Spider-Woman, and the Incredible Hulk. Now, I remember 1960s Marvel cartoons that were crudely animated Jack Kirby drawings, and I have a Namor Submariner, and yeah, that's the one I have. It's got Namor Submariner. And that actually did have the 60s X-Men in it. It was, like, really funny. It had, like, Iceman, just, like, a still picture of him and his legs moving. It was, like, really funny.
Be on guard, friends. My mutant brain senses danger.
Look! A drill pouring through the floor of the lobby.
Ah! Little did they dream that the Mole Man would dare attempt such a brazen attack. Smash everything, my brainless slaves.
Professor X calling. Red alert! Red alert! Mayday! Mayday!
Hurry. The professor needs us.
But who dare threaten us now?
Whoever it is, we have the power to handle them.
An immodest remark, but veracious withal, partner.
Hurry. There he is.
Anyway, Marvel Productions created the first animated commercial for a comic book with G.I. Joe #1 in 1982. Margaret Loesch. Now, I had known her from the research I had done about Pryde of the X-Men. Then producer at Marvel Productions really wanted to do an X-Men cartoon. Believing in the concept, she reallocated, you might know this, you all who watch this might know this, the budget from an episode of the RoboCop cartoon they were doing to do a pilot of Pryde of the X-Men. So they ordered 13 episodes. They did 12 RoboCops and 1 X-Men. Toei Animation was Marvel's chief overseas animation production house. The budget for X-Men was higher than usual, resulting in higher quality animation than most Marvel productions at the time. And this does look like a Japanese anime. It's fantastic. The pilot aired in syndication via Marvel's anthology series, The Marvel Action Universe, between 1988 and 1990. Earl Bowen, notable criminal psychiatrist, Dr. Peter Cyberman, and the Terminator voiced Magneto. I did not know that. This is, I found interesting. Wolverine's Australian accent was not a mistake. At the time, Marvel had been swept in 80s Australian mania and planned to retcon Logan as an Australian expat who relocated to Canada. The memo was sent out, and eventually it was targeted for a 1988 to 1989 release in the X books. However, the company-wide Inferno event that had, Black Queen, where they kind of screwed over the Madeline Pryor character, proved to be a massive, sprawling saga, and as a result, the retcon fell through the cracks and was eventually scrapped. So that was some, cool information. And then I said, well, you know what, man? I have this Marvel magazine here, and we're going to take a look at this in the next portion of this video here. So before we get into that, I want to show you my next move that I made here. So there was a Facebook page called Nostalgic Syracuse. I went on YouTube and I started scouring Fox 68 WSYT commercials from 1990 to 1993. I did find some stuff, but nothing that I was looking for. So I just went on this Facebook page called Nostalgic Syracuse, and I put this post out. I said, hi, and I had talked to some people in the comment sections of different things, and they kind of knew what I was talking about. Some did, some didn't. I write this post here. Hi, I've chatted a bit about this, but I figured I'd make a post. Does anyone have any info on a Pryde of the X-Men commercial for a comic shop that played its theme song? It ran during episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation on WSYT. It was around the 91-93 period, doing a YouTube video on this VHS tape, and I was mesmerized by it. So this guy here says it's Twilight Book and Game. Its owner's name was Bobby. Some guy suggests same Bat channel in Carousel Mall. Some people suggested Dream Days. I contacted a guy who did a commercial for Dream Days, Joe Orsak. He said he did a commercial for them, animated stuff, but it did not have X-Men in it. Found the guy who owned Twilight Book and Game's wife. She got called in on this here, and she said she doesn't remember doing any commercials, but that was 30 years ago. Now, this is where things get interesting here, right? This guy's like, it was Twilight Book and Game, and he saw a VHS recording of them advertising on Star Trek, but not X-Men. And I said, I know. Because as I was thumbing through commercials on YouTube, looking at the Fox 68 WSYT commercials during Star Trek, there was a Twilight Book and Game commercial from 1987. Now, I knew that couldn't be right because the X-Men cartoon came out in 1989. But this commercial I found to be very interesting. Let's check it out right now.
And now, another reason to shop at Twilight Book and Game Emporium.
Star Trek at Twilight!
Here at Twilight, we carry a complete line of the ongoing adventures of the Starship Enterprise, including the new line of merchandise from Star Trek The Next Generation. Yes, from books to games to videos, Twilight has it all.
Star Trek at Twilight! Star Trek at Twilight! Star Trek at Twilight! And more!
Twilight, the place to boldly go when you're bored with reality.
Beam me out, Scotty!
Okay, so I found that commercial to be wildly enjoyable, right? So I'm like, yeah, I saw the commercial that you're talking about, but there was no X-Men, just some nerdy guy in a Star Trek uniform acting like some kind of magical elf. Well, guess who pops up in the comment section? That elf guy who worked at Twilight. His name was Paul, and he thought this was very funny that I said this. I was instructed to Pee Wee Herman it up, Star Trek at Twilight, you know. So I was like super excited. I was talking to the guy from this commercial here. I remembered at the end of the commercial, it had this clip of the X-Men standing on the Earth and Wolverine jumping toward the screen. So I start chatting with Paul here, the Star Trek at Twilight guy, and he's like, listen, while I worked there, DC and Marvel would provide prefabricated commercials that stores would tack on their store information and partially fund the cost of them. Twilight did a few of those in the 90s. I'm guessing where that's the X-Men commercial is from. And he had this Sandman ad that, you know, Twilight was able to tack its information on. And, you know, then I'm like, I'm pretty sure the commercial was shown during the 91-93 period. I was in the second grade. And then he's like, was this the ad right here? And I clicked on it, and it was it. He had found the Star Trek at Twilight guy had found the ad. So I was ecstatic, and I had finally found this ad. I had spent, I'd been praying to St. Anthony, you know, as soon as I was trying to make this video, it's like I really wanted this ad in this video. So without further ado, you know, lost media found. Actually, I don't know if it's lost media, more like obscure media found and highlighted. Here it is, the X-Men commercial from my youth. Maybe fall in love with Pryde of the X-Men. Here it is right now.
When you're looking for action, adventure, excitement, X marks the spot. It's Wolverine, Colossus, Dazzler, Nightcrawler, Storm. It's the most popular team in superhero history. Every month in Marvel Comics. X-Men. Look for Marvel Comics where X marks the spot.
This is Michael Tierney inviting you to visit the comic book store in Little Rock and Collector's Edition Comics in North Little Rock.